case to the clerk's office, okay? Bear with me.
So it might have been the clerk's office that violated me?
No, the clerk's office can't violate you. It's definitely the warrant came from
Miss
Officer
Harpel.
Harpel. I'm just trying to get the whole thing before I can explain anything to you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So just bear with me. I understand your frustration. Because since it's not my case, I'm getting familiar with it as I'm talking to you. So just give me 1 second. And
yes, ma'am. I went to court with Judge. Who is the misdemeanor judge? Judge who?
Well, it just depends on what day. Is it Henderson, Ference, Inman, Singer? Do you know?
I think it was Henderson.
Henderson? Okay. Well, that's your letter of your alphabet. That makes sense. 2017, 3795.
And he said, we're going to RR this guy. And she said all she wanted was 90 days. So how can I get violated for... They told me it was court costs at the jailhouse.
Which is basically why she violated you.
So I'm not on probation anymore. I just
still technically on probation until this case gets closed out. In violation in VOP court, in a VOP hearing. Okay. Let me.
Ma'am, she said she wanted 90 days, and I did it. So how in the world am I still on probation?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. If you just bear with me, because as you're talking to me and trying to tell me your side, I'm trying to read the information that's filed in the clerk and the notes that she has provided. So bear with me. All right. So
okay, the notes provided. I want to hear the audio of when I went to court that day.
You have a public defender. You can always ask your public defender to review the audio on your behalf. That's not something our office necessarily provides. Let me see. So you came in jobs.
She said all she wanted was 90 days. Now they're telling me I'm still on misdemeanor probation. That don't make no sense.
So for your
Thank you.
Let me check your felony case out.
Okay, so what did you find in the misdemeanor case?
So you did go, but it looks to me, if I'm understanding correctly, you were ROR'd on her VOP, but you were still held on for felony reasons in jail. So it looks to me like the reason you served 90 days is not in regards to the VOP for this case, but for the felony case.
But they still have to count that time because I was incarcerated.
They can give you credit for time served, yes, but we haven't gone to court for this particular case to face the violation yet. So when she violated you initially, and gave you a warrant.
So
you went,
does it show that she said 90 days?
She can state that she wants. It doesn't. I don't see this on here in regards to what was specifically said. What I'm trying to get at is you have a felony case and you have misdemeanor with Officer Harpel. She violated you in regards to your first violation when you went to court.
And caught the charger.
Let's see. Your public defender argued that you should be ROR'd for your violation because you were being still held there for your felony. Okay, so you were doing time for your felony. So that time goes towards your felony probation, but they ROR'd you on your violation of probation.
But I'm saying, what month was that? What month was that?
That was in November. So you were picked up on the warrant November 14th. November 30th, you went to court through videos. So you were already in jail. You were serving time. You were picked up. You were in jail for the felonies. And while you were in jail, they gave you the time for the violation of probation. Okay. However, they ROR'd you for the violation of probation with Officer Harpel, but you were still doing time for the felony. So that's separate. The time that you did was for the felony. Okay?
Man, it's in the same county. That doesn't make any sense.
Okay. There's two different types of cases. You have a felony and you have a misdemeanor. All right. Your felony is your felony. Your misdemeanor is your misdemeanor. So they're two different agencies, two different types of cases.
But it's all in the same county.
Regardless if it's in the same county or not, there's two different types of cases, two different two different things, two different entities. So you can't combine both, okay? When you were in jail for the felony, you were serving time for your felony. They ROR'd you, meaning they released you on your own recognizance for your violation of
But I was
probation.
still incarcerated.
For your felony case, okay? They ROR'd you on that. So you were serving the time for your felony case. You are still technically on probation with Ms. Harpel here.
They told me that they violated me for not reporting in May.
I don't know the circumstances of your violation for your felony.
My felony. No, I didn't violate my felony probation.
Or the reason why you were in jail for the felony specifically. According to what I'm seeing here, you were in jail for your felonies. They ROR'd you while you were in jail still for the violation of probation that you got picked up for Officer Harpel. But you were still doing the time for your felony. You were released on your own recognizance, not necessarily left out, but for this case, they said, okay, you're doing time for your felony. Then you're still technically on probation. She had to, because time was running out, she had to file an addendum to that warrant. So she had to add certain conditions you didn't comply with to the original warrant. And that's why you were picked up a second time. But your case is still on and active. You're going to get a violation of probation hearing to go to, and that's where your case is going to be heard before the judge, and then they'll determine the outcome of your violation of probation with the case you have with Officer Harpel. The cases for your felonies, even though it's the same county, it's not the same exact case. There's two different cases involved here. You have a misdemeanor, you have a felony. Right now, you are still technically on misdemeanor probation. The time that you were doing in jail was originally for your felony. So now you've got to focus on your misdemeanor.
But on the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, it shows that they cleared the charges out.
Regardless of what they did with your felony, you're still on.
No, it's on misdemeanor that they cleared it out.
It's still showing you have a violation of probation. She wouldn't, if it was cleared out, she wouldn't have been able to file an addendum to the warrant, meaning she wouldn't have been able to add the conditions that you failed to comply with that were still remaining onto a new warrant. You are still active on probation for this misdemeanor. You still have to go to court for this misdemeanor and face the violation because you didn't comply with the terms that you were originally court ordered when you went to court.
Ma'am, I was incarcerated.
For your felony. You keep thinking your felony.
You're not listening to me right now.
I'm hearing you.
No, you're hearing me, but you're not listening to me.
I'm listening to both. You're not understanding this. You think just because it's Manatee County.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
You just said that, did you not?
I said it earlier, but you made it clear that it's two different entities. You made that clear. I can hear you.
So are we on the same page there?
Okay, can I say
no, but are we on the same page there that you are still technically on probation with Officer Harpel? Regardless if you did the 90 days, we still haven't faced the violation of probation, and you still have to go to court for that. We can't give you credit for the 90 days you were in jail for the felony for this current case because you still haven't faced they ROR'd you on this case. For this particular case, the judge said, we'll release him on his own recognizance, but you were still in jail for your felony. So therefore, those 90 days were for your felony because they technically considered you out of jail for this violation. Okay.
Okay, man.
Do you understand that?
Can I say something, ma'am?
You can say what you want, but I don't think you're getting me.
I don't think you're listening to me.
I'm listening to you, and I've repeated to you 3 times already exactly verbatim what you said to me. I'm just not. You're so frustrated because with the circumstances, you're not understanding. You're still technically.
I'm not frustrated. I'm just confused, ma'am.
Okay. Well, how can I help you understand?
Okay, ma'am. I was incarcerated, right?
Yes, sir.
They violated me. My felony officer told me that they violated me for not reporting in for the month of May.
They meaning the felony.
Hold on, ma'am.
I'm trying to understand.
Ma'am, may I speak?
Okay. You may speak, but as you speak, I'd like you to answer the question I just answered.
You're not hearing me at all.
You're not listening to me either.
I am listening to you.
Then why can't you answer the question?
My felony probation officer
violated you.
No, she didn't. She told me she can't violate me because it was not a willful violation.
Okay.
My felony probation officer told me that you guys violated me for not reporting in for the month of May of 2019.
She violated you for more than one reason.
I was incarcerated.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna let you know specifically what she violated you on. Okay. The reason Officer Harpel initially violated you is you got arrested for your felony cases. Okay? When you got arrested, While you are on probation with Officer Harpel, you are in violation of probation for the fact that you received 2 new cases. Looks like to me, 1, 2. Okay? So when you got picked up on new charges while you were on probation, she filed a warrant against you. Okay? Are we on the same page?
So you're trying to tell me that's what this warrant came out for?
Your initial warrant for the case you have with Officer Harpel was because you were arrested while you were on probation with her for 2 new cases that were felony that you were in jail for. And you remained in jail for that case until however that case got settled. Okay? While you were in jail, since you were already incarcerated, the warrant that she filed because you violated probation for these new felony cases was brought to the attention to the courts. And they said, okay, now that he's in jail because of these felonies.
You can violate me while I'm in jail again?
You were in jail because you received 2 new felonies while you were on probation with Officer Harpel for your misdemeanor. Okay? So if you're on probation and you get arrested for something new, you have now violated your probation. What part of that don't you understand?
Ma'am, I'm trying to understand. I was already arrested. I already was arrested. I already did time. The lady said all she wanted was 90 days. How can I still be on probation 2 years later from some charges I caught in 2017?
Your case with Officer Harpel has not been handled yet. I'm really thinking you're thinking about the case with your felony case.
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Through your felony case, 30 days, mental health. Okay, so this case with Officer Harpel never has been settled. You have not gone to court for this particular case. So somewhere along the lines you were misinformed, but you were not. This case, you were still technically on probation. When you picked up 2 new cases, you got arrested for 2 new felony charges. You got arrested for possession of a knife, and you were arrested for several other things, false imprisonment, strangulation, stuff like that. So when you were arrested while you were on probation, you remained in jail for that felony, okay? You did time for that felony. While you were in jail and she filed that warrant, they ROR'd you for the misdemeanor, but you were still doing time for that felony. So you were going to get credit through felony probation for those. Now, while you were there and you got released sometime, you still didn't remain. It doesn't look to me like you did anything in regards to the probation you were still on with Officer Harpel. So as the time goes on, if you don't comply with the conditions you were originally ordered to, now she has to add on the conditions you didn't comply, because the original warrant she filed for you was for the new law violation. Then you didn't do anything, so she had to add those conditions that you didn't do to a new warrant, which you just got picked up and you just got released on. Okay, you are still on active probation with Officer Harpel. The case has not been settled or taken care of yet. You will be given a court. I'm sure they probably gave you a court date.
No, they haven't given me a court date at all.
Then you should receive a court date in the mail for an arraignment, and then shortly later you will receive a court date to go to violation of probation hearing. Okay? At that hearing, you will then take care of things with Officer Harpel. However, I still think you need to be in contact with Officer Harpel. Are you able at all to get a license or do public service hours or pay any of your fees at all?
I'm unemployed.
Okay. Well, put the fines aside. She can help you with that. Are you able to do hours? Since you're unemployed, I'm assuming you can do some public service hours.
How many hours is it on there?
You were court ordered to do 50. Are you able to do public service hours?
I mean, I guess.
Well,
yeah.
if you end up at least doing your technicals before you go to court, which looks like you have to try to get a driver's license and you have to do 50 hours public service work. She can help you out with the financial part, but you need to make sure that you at least report with her, stay in contact with her, and do some hours. And then in court, when you go to violation of probation hearing, she can go, well, he did all his technicals, and then we can figure out what to do with your fines, maybe reduce it to a judgment, or have a payment plan, and we can close out your case. But the more you do to help out...
Wait, that's what this is? Because I didn't do community service hours?
Okay. When you went to court initially for this case, the judge ordered you to pay fines, get your license, and report to probation, and do 50 hours public service work. All right? Those were the conditions you were supposed to do. You signed the order stating you were agreeing to do these, and you saw Officer Harpel for the first time. All right. Somewhere along the line, you got yourself in trouble again, unfortunately. So that's when you got picked up for those felonies. Whenever you get picked up for something new, we have to file a violation of probation warrant against you because you picked up something new while you were on probation. So you served time in jail for that felony. You got.
I served time for the misdemeanor too, ma'am.
You were ROR'd for the misdemeanor, so you were not serving time for the misdemeanor. You were in jail specifically for the felony.
But if you are and you're still incarcerated, that time counts.
That's something that you can discuss
with
while
the
you're
judge. That's what you're saying.
When you go to
right?
violation of probation.
Because that's illegal not to count my time if I was incarcerated.
Technically, if you were incarcerated for our case,
that's illegal.
But listen. If you were incarcerated for our case and you were serving time for our case, then we can give you credit for that time.
It's in the same county.
Regardless, okay, again, 2 separate cases. Felony, misdemeanor. They ROR'd you on the misdemeanor. You were in jail for the felony. You were serving time for your felony, not for your misdemeanor. The judge ROR'd you for the misdemeanor.
I'm still not understanding what's going on. This sound like just people just
no one's screwing.
That's what
your
it
time.
seems
well,
like.
It's not. When you went to court, your public defender argued to ROR you. Release you on your own recognizance on the misdemeanor case that you had.
My lawyer didn't.
I'm telling you what it shows. So you can say no.
Yelling at me?
I'm not yelling at you. You're not listening.
Do you want me to just leave? Because I don't seem like.
What do you want? Okay, what do you want me to do? I'm trying to tell you that if you at least do some public service hours while you have the time, you're not working right now, that'll help you out when you go to court. If you try to get your driver's license, that'll help you out when you go to court, okay? But you are still technically, dear, on misdemeanor probation with Officer Harpel. The time frame and jail stuff and stuff, you can figure that out when you go to court. But technically,
yes, ma'am. I figure out what my court date is. I'm sorry if I'm frustrating you. I don't want to go to jail. I'm just gonna get up out of here.
I'm trying to make sure that you understand that